Thank you, sir.
I started with saying that gurus is not your thing, eh?
Yes, unfortunately, gurus have become such monsters on this planet today. And you guys who have had everything, still have everything you can reasonably ask for, created a market for those people. And they are exploiting all the people here in the Western countries, particularly in America, telling them that they have answers for all their problems which they are facing today. You see, it is very natural for somebody to ask a question when you have everything that you can reasonably ask for, and you have everything that you can reasonably ask for. The question arises, is that all? The moment that question springs up inside of you and you throw it at others, you have created a market for them all. You see, I always maintain and insist on repeating time and again that what has not helped those countries like India and other Asiatic countries is not going to help anybody in the world.
You're implying, you say, India has known gurus for thousands of years.
For thousands of years. If India is what it is today, it is not something that the Indians can be proud of. This is what I tell them also. Recently I was on their television. India has no future in the sense that you are not in a position to control the events of this world or to shape in any way, directly or indirectly, the shaping of events in the world today. We are living in a very, very difficult times today. The future nobody can predict. Nobody can say with certainty where we are all going to end up. So, although they have 1 billion people in that country, they are in a position to assert and see that they play a very major role in the affairs of the world. So the only thing that they are exploiting around the globe is the demand for some spiritual shit, I would call it, that they are selling in the marketplace, assuring the people that they have the solutions for their day-to-day problems.
But Yuji, I was in India recently at the Kumbh Mela, and I saw there's two things that the Indian people have, and one of them is they make software. And wherever you go in the big cities, they export software, and they export this spiritual Hinduism, Buddhism thing.
The software is acceptable to me because America is in a condition or situation or in a position where they have to depend upon, you see, the Indians. 80% of the people working there in the United States on software are from India. So why America has not been able to produce the guys to handle their problems? You see, sometimes even I go one step further and tell them, you see, you are in a position to be a hacker and break into all the secrets that they have in their defense department and see that America understands its present position in the world and not play the game of destroying the whole world.
Do you feel that that's what's happening? That's
what is going to happen, you see. When you are in a position to destroy the maximum power with minimum means, you will all sing a different song. I have been everywhere in the world. I have spent more than 60 years in Switzerland. I have been coming to this country for almost half a century. I came here first time at the very beginning of 50s. I was involved with the Theosophical Society. I was an international lecturer. I was invited to give lectures here, and I gave a lecture there in Huizen, the then headquarters of all the European federations. So I have known the West. I have spent most of my life in America, in Switzerland, and in India. And I have been everywhere in the world. You see, the human nature is exactly the same. I went even to Russia and said some very nice things which they didn't like. And they thought that I was a CIA agent there. And in America, they thought that I was a KGB agent because I blasted America, you see. And I blasted Russia. And I don't know what the Indians think about me or of me. They don't like me anyway, because what I say is not acceptable to the Indians. I have always maintained that the great heritage of India, which they are so proud of, the heritage that they are trying to sell, the shoddy piece of goods abroad, was born out of acid heads.
It was born out of acid heads?
Acid heads. All those sages lived in the
Well, now it's getting interesting. You mean that the Vedas,
all of them,
and the Vedas was only written down,
afterwards,
came out of people that out in the woods were taking digitales and
Soma Jews, and experienced some strange experiences and translated them into spiritual experiences and passed on that from generation to generation. We in our turn used those techniques through the help of thought, created those experiences and believed that we are in the same state that those people were talking about.
Wait a moment. So you're basically saying that the psychedelic experience is the basis of the religion?
Is the religion. It started that way in India.
Okay. Well, then I have to ask you, have you taken psychedelics?
I have never taken. Anybody who has not smoked will never condemn others smoking. Anybody who has not even tasted or smelled, say, alcohol will never ask people not to drink. Anybody who has not taken drugs will not condemn drugs. You see? But at the same time, I do not encourage that. I maintain, even today, I insist that drugs should be legalized. Then, you see, you will be surprised. It will fall in its proper place.
Would you say that drugs in India have fallen into their proper place in the past, not now?
In the past, you see.
Because when I see there is people smoking ganga, there is people taking all kinds of leaves and...
Yes. Nothing is, that is no different from any spiritual experience.
But so what do you think that happens in the mind when people take this psychedelic...
They experience extraordinary, quote-unquote, similar to spiritual experiences of bliss, beatitude, immensity and love.
And the feeling of unity.
The feeling of unity. And you experience the same things when you take drugs. I have known the fellow who has written my biography, Mr. Mahesh Bhatt. He was one of the top movie directors, and he has written my biography, and he was not exposed to the religious background at all. First time when he took drugs, he experienced all the spiritual experiences, all the sages, saints, and saviors of mankind in the past and present and yet to be born. They are going to experience the same thing. He talked about it in such an extraordinary way. So there is nothing marvelous about it. The moment you legalize that, it will fall in its proper place. The governments are involved in making money. The other day they said $92 billion.
Made by
and why you put all these young people into prison and destroy them? You see, meditation is one of the worst techniques that people are preaching.
Okay, this is another strong statement. You say meditation, which is preached by the Buddhists and the Hindus, and you say it doesn't serve any good?
Nobody has done seriously meditation. This is what I point out to the people. If you have meditated very seriously for longer periods than they claim that they have done, they will either end up in the loony bins, singing loony tunes and merry melodies, or commit suicide, jump into the river. Many of those sages in India who practiced yoga, who practiced meditation techniques, they all committed suicide, and they called that jalasamadhi. You see, those people, if they jump into the river and commit suicide...
it's like they want to be one with God, and that's it.
That's all. That is the way they interpret that and make them feel good, the followers of those countries.
But that's, for instance, is a subject, this suicide to join the Godhead, which happens in the Christian churches too, and it's never talked about.
But do you want me to say some nasty statements about your Jesus?
Absolutely.
He was smoking hash, not hash, but eating mushrooms for 40 days and 40 nights, sitting there in the desert.
Yeah, but that was clear, and then he experienced the devil like anybody would do who takes...
No, but one thing you don't realize, if it remained in that small, limited scale and limited sphere of human activities, it would have been finished long time ago. Through the help of using that as an instrument of power, the states are responsible for that. Buddhism would have remained a very small cult. You see, if it were not for the fact that Ashoka, one of the great emperors of India,
the guy who
used it as an instrument of power. Both Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism have become the instruments of power. This is what I tell very often to the people.
So they have become the banner for worldly powers, but claiming they were a spiritual movement.
Exactly. At that time, the religious
thing
was the only instrument we had. Now you have political ideologies. Why you killed so many hundreds and thousands of people?
And cows.
Preaching Love thy neighbor as thyself. How many men, women, and children have been killed? And all the political ideologies you enforce on the world only through the instrument of power and violence. Even
So
I told
can we do
Gandhi,
something about it?
even when I met Gandhi, I told him, more people have been killed in the name of non-violence than violence. He himself admitted when his movements ended up in violence and killing of so many men, women, and children. You see, he admitted and announced to the wide world that he committed a Himalayan blunder. But a few months after, he started another organization, another movement, and killed so many people. When I pointed out that he didn't quite understand what I meant when I said both violence and non-violence spring from the same source. Of course, Indians had no weapons to fight the British Empire at that time. So that was the instrument of an impotent man who had no power to challenge the power that was entrenched there.
So you say that comes from the same basic instinct, which is like the lust for influence.
Yes, influence. It is all a sensual activity. The varieties of food. Why the hell people eat so many varieties of food? So you see, I tell the doctors, I have lived 84 years. I'll be entering my 84th year. People want to think that until you complete 83rd year, you tell yourself, and if somebody asked you, how old are you? You would say 83. In India, they say the moment you enter your 84th year, they say we are pushing 84. In China, they add one more year. The moment you enter your 84th year, they say I'm 85 years old. It all depends upon what exactly you feel about your aging process. You understand?
But would that mean that we could overcome the problems of aging?
No, you're not going to succeed. You know, they have started clinics in the United States of America to stop the aging process of dogs. They have become so important. We have ruined all of them by allowing ourselves to be associated with the animals. The emphasis that I'm emphasizing with great, what is the right word? I don't know. Emphasis all the time is that we are no different from any other species on this planet. The human beings are no more important than the mosquito that is biting you, because the only female mosquitoes bite you for the reason that they need your hemoglobin to maintain the continuity of their
So they're part of the system.
That is part of the system. But we have been brainwashed to believe that we are created for some nobler and grander purpose than all the other forms of life on this planet. And if they stopped there, it would have been all right. But they went one step further and said that everything around you is created for your benefit. We are creating imbalance here. If what they say is correct, I don't know, I can't make any definitive statements. When once you arrive at 16 billion or 15 billion population on this planet, we will all be wiped out. You see, because the planet cannot take. You see, not only the destructive part on the human kind, but also the heat we are generating. If what they say is true, correct, every human body is radiating 3000 centigrade heat. We are heating up this planet. You understand? So human species is the last thing that is very essential on this planet. It's not that
we can do without human beings.
Yes.
Then.
We have not been on the scene for long, you see. I don't know, I'm talking, this is supposed to be an interview.
Yeah, I know. Let me ask you, you seem to be so fiery. Where does that come from?
From the energy of the life that is there behind these words. I am not interested in winning anybody over to my point of view. I have no point of view.
Is that a fire of love, or is that a fire?
No, that is not. The love is another four-lettered word.
Okay, well, what is the fire then?
The life is something extraordinary. It is so creative. And it is emphasizing certain things in such a way that sometimes people tell me that you are very angry. Why you use such a brutal language? No, just to overemphasize a point. That it is the backing of the life. Life's energy is something extraordinary. They don't understand.
Does your fire, does your life, does your energy come from
the life itself?
From life itself. But you have had some major experience.
I am just a dog here barking. And you are the one that is making this dog bark. And whatever is coming out is not the product of any thinking. It's not born out of my thinking or any such thing. you are bringing out all this noise that is there inside of me and reading something into it, making some sense to you, and others say that it doesn't make any sense. But
it doesn't have to make sense, but where does it come from? Something in your life you had a major experience.
May I point out one thing? There is no need for us to have, not this particular interview or any other conversation, there is no need for us to have any conversation with anybody, whether it is the near and dear ones or the beloved ones or the people around you. The only reason why we want to carry on a conversation with others is to win them over to your point of view and make them accept what you are saying. We use logic.
Why?
Why do you have to carry on any conversation?
Because this is
you
life.
And I go for a walk.
Yes,
you and I go for a walk, and you see the beautiful.
And it's also a play.
Play, yes. You want to win.
No,
always.
It's not about. No, you can play without winning.
Yeah, where is the need for logic? I studied Western logic. I studied all this shit in my university. See, but I never accepted any such thing. See, logic. Where is the need for logic?
You know, is there need for play?
As a student of logic, I denounced logic completely and totally. I went one step further and said that any day Western logic is more logical than the Indian logic. As a student of psychology, I studied and philosophy and logic. And why do we need logic? You are more logical than I am. You are more intelligent than I am. What makes you think that you are more intelligent than I am?
Well,
you have more verbiage. You have more verbiage, more garbage, more words in your vocabulary shit box. I'm sorry to you, not you in particular, than me. So you use that, you see, to convince me and to win me over to your point of view. And people find it difficult to accept what I am saying in all kinds of conversations or interviews. They say, that's your point of view. All right, that's my point of view. What is yours? Yours also is a point of view. But I am not interested in winning you over.
No, but
my point of view. I'm not referring